All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Monday, December 29th, 2014. And this is Before the First Cup with Jules and Zori on UCY.TV. Good morning, Zori.
Good morning. You sound stuffed up.
I'm dying. I just lost a lung before the mic opened up. And somehow I'm like, I don't know, everything's 2 minutes off out here.
Huh. Wow. So what is it, a cold? Just a bad cold or allergies?
No, I went to the post office before Christmas to send some stuff, and within 2 days started to feel like I was getting sick.
Ugh. Yeah, I tried to stay away from stores and, large crowds and stuff because it seems to be going around here, too.
I blame the post office.
There you go.
It was a week ago today.
Wow.
Or 10 days, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember if I went Friday last week or Monday. Friday the week before. But I didn't quite get coffee made, so I'm coffeeless too.
Oh no. Oh no.
It's brewing. At some point I'll have to migrate. Oh, look, it logged me out of everything. Oh.
Huh. Oh, man. It's cold here, but it was nice. In fact, we had 2 days, count them, 2 days with not one chemtrail. And then they hit us so hard yesterday. I mean, you couldn't even see one speck of blue. It was horrible.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know. But we sure got enough rain, and we're supposed to be getting another storm. So hopefully we'll get out of this drought. It's just, I don't know, it's crazy. Oh.
It's raining here now. No, snowing.
Oh, it's snowing there?
Yeah, it just started.
Our Mount Shasta is covered, though. I haven't seen it that deep in snow in a long time. So that's a good thing, because that's where we get almost our water, is from the melt off of the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only bummer about that part is, like, the aluminum in the snow up there is 60,000 times over the safety level.
True.
Yeah.
So they say.
Yeah, but that's what they're reading. Yep. Yeah. Man, I was wondering, have you heard, that arms treaty? Arms treaty was supposed to take effect the 24th, and I was looking all over. I read all kinds of articles. Some say it is, some say it isn't, but I couldn't find anywhere that the Senate had ratified it yet. And it has to be.
I read an article last night that specifically talked about that, and I posted it, I believe. Hold on. It said the Senate has not yet ratified it. The UN is really kind of pushing it. Hold on. Where the fuck is it now? Hold on. Here it is. From Yahoo News. Global Arms Treaty enters into force on Wednesday. United Nations, from American Free Press, a treaty laying down international rules for the $85 billion global arms trade goes into force on Wednesday, with campaigners vowing to make sure it is strictly implemented. The United States, by far the largest arms producer and exporter, has signed the treaty but has yet to ratify it. Other key exporters such as France, Britain, and Germany have ratified the charter and pledged to adhere to strict criteria aiming at cutting off weapons supplies to human rights violators worldwide. For too long, arms and ammunition have traded with few questions asked about whose lives they will destroy. I'm sorry, I can't read before I've had coffee.
Okay. Out of Reuters, the thing I don't get is, We had Kerry go and sign it, but like it said, we are one of the largest exporters of, guns to over to, and wherever they're having a war, we're supplying their weapons. This would put a stop to that. Now, I just can't see the United States agreeing to that. That means like tanks, ammunition, weapons of all kinds would have to, be cleared through the UN before they're shipped out. It just doesn't seem like we would agree to something like that.
Well, it says the campaigners for this, which is the UN and all the people involved in it, vow to make sure it's strictly implemented. Ki Ban-moon Tuesday said it was critical that we continue to promote universal participation in the treaty and encourage all states, not the United States, but countries that are party to this, particularly major arms exporters and importers, to join. Those nations which have not yet adhered to the pact should, quote, accede to it without delay, unquote. There's lots of stories out there. It goes on and on and on. Yeah. So you couldn't find anything about it?
Well,
I just did one search, and it was the top of the story.
Well, yeah, I know I didn't say I couldn't find any. I said I found they're all conflicting. Some say that we're in it, some say we're not, some say we're
We ratified. Are in it. It just hasn't been ratified. I didn't see anything that said it was ratified. It says specifically it's not, but they're pushing for all the countries that haven't signed it to ratify it.
Mm-hmm. But even...
They're going to wait for the Republican Congress, and then they're going to get them to sign it, which isn't going to happen, probably, but it might.
But it goes against our Constitution, and so even if they do sign it, it's a treaty, and it goes against our law of our land.
Well, they're not banning them here. They're banning exporting, so that doesn't go against our Constitution, does it? For export?
Yeah, I don't know.
Our Constitution didn't guarantee every other black job in the world can have a gun.
Yeah. But
I've been watching this for about 7 years now, this UN Small Arms Treaty. Okay, I had some stuff that I was involved in before that was one of my jobs, primary jobs, and I wrote a newsletter every week, and this was something we talked about. One of the issues is that, the gun advocates in this country are more worried about serialized ammo than they are about the UN Small Arms Treaty. Now, the UN Small Arms Treaty, though it doesn't directly affect stuff that we're shipping out of this country, what it will affect is stuff that's being shipped into this country, right? From all the other countries that are exporters of arms. Well, why? That doesn't make sense? Russia, China. How many guns do we buy? Now, there's that whole economic sanctions against Russia right now, so I don't think that would make much of a difference. But if there weren't economic sanctions against Russia, it might affect AK-47 parts and whatever else we get. The bear ammo.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Russia and China have not signed yet either.
No, I can't find anywhere that they've signed in on.
No, it says specifically in this Yahoo story that they have not signed. But, I don't know what kind of a big deal it's going to be right now. What I can say is I think it's a toe in the water for the UN to now have one more finger in the pie of United States liberties. And, they got their foot in the door for Detroit, Michigan, over the water. And look at now they were brought in over when Eric Brown's parents went there. And then they had the Committee on Torture, and then they released their torture reports. Look, that's 3 for 3 in 2014 that the UN has stuck their nose in. And I'm sure there probably were more that I wasn't aware of. Now, one thing I did see in this story, this Yahoo story, was that it talked about how they were going to be able to control shipping arms into countries that had human rights abuses. Think about them. Human rights abuses and dictators.
Mm-hmm. That's like Iraq, Syria, all of those that we ship arms to, weapons
But
to.
if you read the UN report on the UN treaty ruling, they had a whole statement about police brutality in the United States. I mean, they've had a lot of things to say lately. I wrote a couple stories about it. I think you should probably check those out because I'm telling you, I think we're going to be pointed to and called human rights abusers, and Obama could be called a dictator if he keeps signing these executive orders for shit. And they could just, like, decide that they're going to, I've talked about this before, bring in the peace bombs and liberate us.
Yep.
UN troops on the ground to help rescue the American people from the dictator that's taken over.
And then be ruled by the UN.
Yeah. And, you know, this whole UN internet, oh, I forgot about that one. You know, they've been hammering that up for a long time. And don't forget that ICANN is no longer controlled by the United States either. The whole naming convention for the internet. That's going to UN rules. So that all happened this year as well. So all security over the internet is now being worked on. I was just actually digging into that pretty deep about a week ago. There's a whole international security effort for the internet. You know, this whole North Korea thing was absolutely 100% to get freaking CISPA fired back up for the next round of Congress to start dropping the net on the internet. So, you know, I'm just watching all this happen. I don't think this UN Small Arms Treaty really needs to have anything to do to take away our shit right now. It's just a placeholder. It's a finger in a book. Yeah. It's saying, all right, man, this is where we're going to start from here on out. We got 2016 to make sure we take all your civil liberties away.
Yeah.
Oh. That's all.
Yeah, it's getting crazy.
I need some coffee. And a hat.
There's I come across this other article where they're saying that soon your tech will talk to you through your skin. Have you seen that? Oh, she's gone. Oh,
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Where they've already been experimenting with it, and where they'll be sending you messages through vibration in your skin. And they've already been experimenting with it, and they say people take to it right away. It'll be like learning a new alphabet. And in one case, they send messages through the fingertips. And it's little vibrations and stuff, like for alerts. And, I mean, can you imagine the spam from companies trying to sell their products to you, and you're just getting zapped all day long? I don't know. That's some scary stuff.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever see that. I think it's going to be augmented reality, and then it'll just skip that. I mean, why would they do something so primitive?
Yeah,
they already can do that, where they can embed it. You know, they're working on being able to give you cyborg eyes, so right in front of your eye with a little implantable contact lens that's tied into your oblongata, they can communicate directly to the internet. And be able to see it with the optic nerve. You know, they've already been testing that. That's what Google Glass is, just not the implant yet.
Yeah, they say that it's hard to see why designers are looking for a new conduit. It's not hard. Our eyes and ears, the dominant modes for the digital world, are full to bursting. Devices bombard with text alerts and auto bleeps. Your skin, on the other hand, is an underused channel, says Raymond Kiefer, a safety expert who helped design GM's vibrating seats. This is a way to cut through the visual and auditory clutter.
See. So what they're going to probably do is this is for car technology.
Well, no, they already did it in some cars, and it's supposed to alert you to, a possible wreck or something. But uh, there, this is more like there's a danger here, of course, vibrations cutting through the white noise of today's alertosphere. But just as new freeway lanes increase traffic, a new channel for alerts could quickly turn into an attractive target for overuse. An exquisitely annoying form of overload. Arguably, we want the app makers to reduce the number of pings we get. That's why, to me, the most interesting use of haptics, that's a company that's doing this, won't be, hey, go check this out alerts. It'll be the potential to spawn a new mode of communication. People are extremely good at distinguishing among other many different signals written on their skin.
What's the publication you're reading this out of?
This is out of Reuters.
Mm-hmm.
And but they're saying that that's why, to me, the most interesting use of the haptics won't be. Oh wait, I read that part. Buzzwear, a wristband that vibrates 3 small buzzers in 24 different patterns. With 40 minutes of training, her subjects were able to distinguish among them 99% accuracy. In another study, McLean played patterns onto people's fingertips via a smartphone game and found they could remember them weeks later. It was like learning new words, like learning verbal language, McLean says. Crude buzzer patterns are likely to give way to more granular, complex signals. Already, inexpensive conduit threads can deliver tiny bursts of electricity. Lee envisions using them to stitch hundreds of thousands of haptic pixels into clothing that could draw a picture onto your skin. Tactile illusions, as she puts it.
No, come on. There's this bracelet already that's out there that's got this little HD camera, and it projects a full touchscreen onto your arm.
I've seen something.
Yeah, this
that.
is, you know what? The fact that, first of all, this is supposedly some great discovery coming out in Reuters, I'm going to call bullshit. It's not going to happen. This is somebody's pipe dream, someone writing a fantasy story. It would have come out in phys.org or something if it was real. And who would want that? I mean, yeah, wearable computing is great, so maybe a wearable computer will come out at some point that vibrates all over you. But you don't need that to project anything on a screen. They already got that. That bracelet is pretty... I wouldn't wear it, but it was pretty damn neat.
Or like that one, remember that chick showed like the tattoo on your skin that could authorize things. Remember that chick with the pill? So that would be kind of like computing.
Well, no, that's just a token. That's for smart homes and such.
Yeah.
That's so you can be authenticated wherever you walk, and it will identify you. No anonymity, remember?
Right, that's
so you'll be able to be identified from wherever you are, aerially. You know, oh, there's the drone. Hey, look, there's Jules. Triple bomb!
Yeah.
You know. But, I don't know. I think that they're going to do a lot of things a hell of a lot easier than that.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And learning a new language? Who the hell's going to learn a new language? This is not going to happen. You're going to want a visual interface. That bracelet thing, it looks like one of those, you know, Komen for the Cure bracelets. It's like a little plastic thing. It goes around your wrist, and it's got a little camera in it. Hold on one second. I was looking at this the other day. It was pretty slick.
Oh, I bought that watch. I haven't looked at it much yet, but it's the HP DVR watch.
No, it's not a watch.
No? Oh.
It's just a wristband. Hold on. Oh, God. Do you subscribe to the Before the First Cup news? On Facebook?
I have it. Oh, no, I don't have that.
Oh, that's the show page.
Yeah. I think it does.
This show.
I haven't been on Facebook much lately.
It's on the Before the First Cup website on our page that we do the show on.
Mm-hmm.
All the news under the chat room.
Mm-hmm.
That's from that page.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Trying to find the picture of it.
Oh, of the band?
Yeah, it's on my page. I was looking at all the high def, they hit diagrams for it. Well, so we just derailed the show. I really didn't want to talk about technology today because I have an entire show set aside for that. But
okay.
I think that's a pipe dream. That's somebody writing a Reuters story thinking that they're going to get, shock value.
Yeah. Because I couldn't imagine just being bombarded constantly with little vibrations.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, some retard who wears their cell phone in their pocket all day and irradiates their nuts maybe might wear it. Well, that's what they're doing right now. My phone's on vibrate all the time. And I didn't learn. The only thing I learned is means that there's another freaking message that I don't have time to deal with, is all that means to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it goes, and I have some highly annoying person who can't seem to understand that if I don't answer the message, it means, A, I got 30 shows to cut, it's Christmas, my kid's on vacation, and I'm sicker than a dog. You know what? I'm cutting you loose. So I'm not doing it anymore. I wake up to more freaking messages. I'm sorry. You know what? There's such a thing as donating your time to help somebody, and then there's such a thing as to be so beyond. Just I can't even get over how inconsiderate you are all Christmas week, pummeling me with worrying about your shit. That's all I gotta say. Not happening. I'm cutting you loose. Can't deal with it. Go away. I tried to do a favor, and now it's become my problem? I don't think so. I hate to say it, but I'm gonna be a dick for 2015. Because Jules has no more to give. I can't do it. Especially when you abuse me in the entire Christmas vacation. If I don't answer, it means that I'm busy, right?
I would think so, yeah.
And then stalk me on every fucking social media because you've seen me post. You send me 32 more fucking messages. Because I post a story doesn't mean I'm ignoring you. Well, maybe it does, actually, by this point. Because I can't fucking deal with it when I read your messages and my hands start shaking because I can't understand any of them. Judge says Facebook must face class action lawsuit over message scanning. Facebook must face a class action lawsuit filed in California claiming the social networking site sifted through users' private messages for targeted advertising purposes, violating both federal and state law. Lead plaintiff Matthew Campbell and 2 others sued Facebook in December of 2013. Hold on. Alleging the company scanned user messages for web links, translating them to likes on the user's Facebook profile. Which I haven't seen that. I mean,
wow.
I've seen in my messaging where, like, I've dropped a link to my friend, and the next thing you know, you got advertising for that same or similar product going down the side of the screen. But this literally says that by putting web links into your Facebook chat, they're adding those products as likes to your profile. Now, I hope not.
I haven't seen that, but I know whenever I buy anything on Amazon or I go look, all of a sudden every page I go to has
right.
Amazon
It's
on
targeted
that
marketing. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That absolutely. But see, that's not even the same thing as this. That's just targeted marketing.
Right.
where they put cookies in your browser. This literally is it's going through your private messages that you send people in Facebook, and it is garnering information out of your private messages, not out of your browsing history.
Right.
Out of your private messages, links that you've dropped your friend, and it's adding it to your like list on Facebook.
Yeah, I haven't seen that happening at all on mine.
And it better not be. You know, stuff that you drop people links in private, it most certainly be stuff that you're dropping on your Facebook page.
Right. So,
you know, I have lots of things to say that I don't say public. Sometimes it bleeds out, but most of the time I keep a lid on it.
Yeah.
Told you, I'm not very nice, so you probably wouldn't want to hear my inner thoughts. Especially not when I'm sick and without coffee.
Yeah.
And being completely abused. I'm so angry right now. I wake up and I got fucking 20 more messages of the same person with the same bullshit. I just can't. You don't even, like, and I only had 2 minutes to open my eyes and start coffee and come out here after that. But it really, really makes me upset.
Yeah, I
you know, I have nothing fucking better to do. Nothing better to do than decode messages and try and figure out A, what you're trying to say, and then B, I
usually send you one message, and I figure if I get a response, then But
well, the thing is, I might read it. I mean, if it doesn't require immediate response, right. I might read it in passing as I have 32 other things going on and 8 people calling me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And just because I don't respond immediately does not necessarily mean I didn't get it. But I don't have time to respond to every little nook and cranny everywhere unless it's an immediate issue that is required. I'm putting out 10 other issues that need my attention.
Right. That's why I never send more than one message. I figure when you get around to it, you get around to it, and that's it.
And here's the thing. With the radio network being on a clock, okay, this is what people don't get. It's different working an 8 to 5 job because you got all 8 hours of the day to get something done. And sometimes you got deadlines. And when I was an engineer, we would have, bids and stuff we'd be doing, so you'd have to get it done by 11 o'clock, and then you'd work all weekend on something. But what people don't understand is that this is a 24/7 365 days a year, 52 weeks. I don't get a vacation. I don't get a day off. I am tied to the clock. Everything has to be done before the next one's up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's enough to drive you batshit insane. First of all, it disrupts every minute of your life. And then there's 30 shows on top of that. So those hosts are my first priority. Somebody's got a problem. Someone calls in sick. Someone's kid's sick. Someone can't do a show. You know what I mean? And don't think that I don't deal with that all day, every day. Every day. Every day I got last minute, something dropped in my lap. Oops, I can't do it. You need to do something. So to add to all of that, then there's all this out of sync stuff that happens, and then you did a favor for somebody, and now they're trying to make it your priority. I can't do it. There is no priority. My family doesn't get my priority. So you and your project that I said I would help you with, and I did, got enough priority. That's all I can say. It's almost, I'm going to start cutting people off. That's it. I don't get paid for any of this. The thanks is far and few between, and I get complained at more than anything.
Yeah, it gets old.
It gets very old at 4+ years of this crap. You know what? I could be making more money laying on the couch with my eyes closed, to be honest with you. Which means that I'm not going into debt. I'm not spending the cash on all these. You don't even know how much shit we pay for every month for all the hosting and all the orchestrations and all. I just saw one of the competing networks. They're not really competing. I've known them for a long time, but they charge for archives after 7 days.
I've seen that, yeah.
Because of hosting costs. Now, I got to say, I mean, I'm good at finding deals, so I was able to find packages where it's a quote unquote unlimited. But you know what? I got full 2.5 years of archives for every show I've ever run available.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, they're going to decide that my quote unquote unlimited package has come to a limit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But all I'm saying is that people, it's like you give an inch. It's just like a little kid. You give in once, and then they keep pushing the limits to see how far they can take it. And I am at my limit now. The end of 2014, I have reached the cracking point, and this person better just leave me alone. I'm going to have to cut it off. I don't know what I was thinking, even thinking I'd help. Because I need this like I need a hole in the head, and it's going to give me a nervous breakdown.
We don't want that.
No. Why would you do that to somebody? Figure it out yourself then. If it's that important, make it your responsibility, not mine. That's the thing. My old boss used to say that to me. Jules, you touch it, you own it. And you know what? That was kind of like our mantra. I mean, that's one thing. Somebody's in dire straits, I'll help them. A website is not dire straits. I mean, like if you need a home, you're hungry, whatever. If it came down to it, I'll find a way to help you. But when it came to doing proposals or, I don't know, some of the underhanded shit that I used to see go on in the office, and it always would turn into like some big fire. And then, everyone would like turn and look, who's the good problem solver? Well,
there you are.
Yeah, and it always ended up on my desk. And they'd come I was always the first person everyone came to. Oh, Julie, you gotta help me. And the thing is that this is exactly what happened to me at work, is that I didn't have 1 second for anything because I had all these other things that everybody had given to me to take care of because they couldn't.
While your project sat on the back burner, yeah.
Well, while my project didn't get done between 8 and 5, then I would have to take it home and work on it at night because we had a deadline of Friday where we were going to present the proposal. You know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is, this is a disease I see. It's prevalent all over this country, and I'm sure all over the world, but I can't speak for other countries. But at least here, from what I've seen, this passing the buck off to other people, giving to someone else because it's easier for them to do than for you to figure out yourself, is a disease. It's a lazy man's disease, and I hate to tell you, but I hate lazy.
Well, I was seeing an article where they're saying this is the expect everything to work generation without putting forth any effort.
Without any effort, and expect everyone to do it for you if it doesn't work.
Right. And it's true. People don't try and solve their problems anymore. Even the smallest thing.
No, not anything. Not anything. Even like... in the old days, and I really think, though, this is all conditioned. In the old days, we used to be able to fix our own cars, right?
Right, and then they computerized them, and now you have to take them to a dealership.
Exactly. Yeah. And in the beginning, I used to build all my own computers. I had my little assembly line on Sunday morning. I'd be doing it in my pajamas for friends. And, I mean, I'm sure I still could build a computer. It's probably been 10 or 15 years. The components are all there. But if you take a look at... I subscribe to a bunch of semiconductor journals, and if you take a look at all the new technologies that they're working on and how they've gotten to the point where they've miniaturized things, and now they're really starting to work on photonics and integrated electronics, because we've reached, and I'm not going to be able to remember this right now because my head's so cloudy, but there's a limit. It was an actual limit, not a theoretical limit, where transistors could only get so small. And once we reach the terminal limit, and we were very, very, very close on that, technology would have to take a leap for us to go any further into the future. And with a lot of this nanotechnology, they kind of broke that border. They're using photonics, what they're calling quantum, but I don't know if I'd really call it physical quantum yet, though I just was reading something last night, and I don't know, it was really late, so I don't quite remember what it was, and it's probably open in one of these browsers somewhere, but it looks like quantum for real is getting much, much, much closer as far as being able to use it. Oh, I know. It was about the Heisenberg principle and being able to, they've solved the problem of particles being particles in a wave at the same time. That's what it was. And so it got around one of the big paradoxes. And actually, to me, I was like, man, that just proves everything I've ever said forever. I've had these theories for about 30 years about sound and matter and energy. And it just proves everything. That was the key. And it was the uncertainty principle. And it was the, I don't remember what the split was. This, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm off the track now. Back to this personal responsibility thing. I heard Dane talking about that on Saturday, and I've been saying that all along. Like, every situation that I'm in, and I see, a friend comes to me about some issue that they're having with their friend, and this person is just in dire straits and whatever. It all comes back to personal responsibility. Like, I don't want to be a dick. Maybe I should feel sad for this person, but time after time after time after time after time again, you tell them what they need to do to fix their situation.
And they don't.
No, and it not only does it not get fixed, but they're still doing the same freaking thing that got them in the situation in the first place. And I've tried to help 32 times. Guess what?
33 is not going to happen.
No. Right. My one friend's like, well, how could you say that? What kind of a friend could you be to another friend? Well, I'll tell you what. My friends know me well. They don't come crying to Jules for 20 years because Jules going to be like, sorry. I mean, you know how many friends that I just cut off because they've become too much of a burden on me? And here's my motto, and it's been for years, NMFP. I used to say it at work, not my fucking problem.
Yep.
It isn't. You know what? I have my own problems that you don't help me with, and nobody comes to my aid to help me with all my shit. And I try to help other people, but there comes a line. And when you draw that line, that's your responsibility to live your own life. It is not my responsibility to live your life or help support your life or your bad decisions or your mistakes, that then I become the enabler that allows you to continue to make all the same mistakes. So it's got to be tough love, baby. Cut it off.
Exactly. I'm like that too. Like, I'll help you, but then if I see you doing it again and going back to the same problem again, why am I wasting my time?
That's exactly it. My biggest pet peeve on the planet is wasting my time.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't enough time of it and existing, and your time is the commodity. They pay us money, but what they're really paying us for when you work at a job is for the time and the life that it bought.
Mm-hmm.
How many minutes of your life that they bought?
Exactly.
And you never get those back. So don't ask me 20 times for help. Because if I helped you and you effed up again, well,
that's on you.
Yeah, that's your fault. I gave you money, or I helped you find a place, or I helped you kick a habit, or whatever. It's not my problem. Get some support. I can't be there to live your life for you. And guess what? My life hasn't been all freaking unicorns and rainbows. I moved out at 18, and I lived in a shitty little apartment in the city, and I worked 3 jobs, and I put myself through college. And I ate, I spent $10 on groceries, and I would make myself a big, huge pot of what I called chicken stuff, which was just shit tons of vegetables, 1 chicken breast, and some broth, and I'd eat it all week long. And no, it wasn't delicious, and no, I didn't want to eat it all week long, but guess what? I paid for my college education on quarters and pennies.
Mm-hmm. And
waiting
you just
tables.
Don't see that anymore. You know, you don't. Everyone expects everything to be given to them, and I've always said you're responsible for yourself. First off, and I don't know. They're right. This isn't a especially, and it's just getting worse and worse.
It is.
We don't even handle our personal problems. I mean, how many times do people call the police to handle their own personal problems?
Right, and then their girlfriend gets shot in the head. That's what happens.
That was horrible.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
no, not the personal problems. But we've been groomed that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Depend on the state. Depend on somebody else. Pay attention to this because you don't know any better. Well, they groom the lack of free thought.
Yeah.
So then you feel you need to depend on someone to put the ideas in your head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going down a bad road, that's for sure. And the me is not the way to go.
No, actually, we were just talking about that in chat yesterday. So I don't remember who Nathan's guest was last night, but he was saying something about. Oh, I know. The second half of Nathan's show, they had some technical issues, and so there was another show airing for a few minutes until they got his show back up and running. And the guy was talking about just how in the world they could be so cruel and turn a blind eye to children in need and things of that nature. And, of course, when I start hearing stuff like that, I start commenting, and I'm like, well, it's because they're all psychopaths that are running the show. And, oh, wait a minute, it's not just psychopaths, it's narcissists, too. The me. And they have been groomed. It is from our society and the way we raise kids and the way it's this consumeristic, Bernaysian,
right.
Wanting things that you don't need, spending money needlessly, civilization, this disposable society, and belongings aren't just disposable, so are people.
Yeah.
There's no sanctity for human life anymore. None. Not even human life, just life in general.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Back to my Facebook story.
Okay.
The lead plaintiff, Matthew Campbell, and two others sued Facebook in December 2013, alleging the company scanned user messages for web links, translating them to likes on the user's Facebook profile. Data lifted from the private messages was then used for targeted advertising, the plaintiffs claimed. Facebook's practice of scanning the content of these messages violates the Federal Electronic Communications Privacy Act, which is ECPA, also referred to as the Wiretap Act, as well as California's Invasion of Privacy Act, which is CIPA, and Section 17200 of Florida's Business and Professional Code, the plaintiff said. On Tuesday, U.S. District Judge Phyllis Hamilton denied Facebook's motion to dismiss the ECPA and CIPA Section 6131 claims, while granting dismissal of claims pertaining to 632 of CIPA and Section 17200 of the California Business and Professional Code, according to Tech Times. Facebook, quote, has not offered a sufficient explanation of how the challenged practice falls within the ordinary course of its business, unquote, said Judge Hamilton. So how awesome is that?
Wow, yeah. Yeah.
Called them out for their bullshit. I mean, think about it. Zuckerbucker is making billions of dollars off of your private messages to your friends.
Wow.
I mean, shouldn't you be getting a cut of that?
You would think.
If they're making money off of your posts, shouldn't you be getting a cut? I mean, I see some of the newer social networks are doing that, but I mean, he's making billions of dollars and he's selling your data to all of these entities, and he's giving access to all of the police departments and the feds. I mean, we've seen that enough times. They're all over Facebook, man. He's given access to all these sociology departments and all these big fat universities, getting all these big fat grants to study, brains and how social media interacts, and to build their Turing machine that can mimic human behavior. They're using all of our data and social media for that, and they're making or getting tons of money. Shouldn't we be getting a part of that for being a part of a study? Isn't that what happens when you're part of a scientific study?
That's what you would think. It's a lot like with your phone apps. When I watched that thing that Kaspersky put out, where people don't read those agreements when they want an
No,
app.
this
They just
doesn't.
want
It did not. Within the agreement, it said that it did not. If I continue here, it'll say that. Here's what I'm thinking, though. If there should be an opt-in for all this crap. And if I opt in for you to use all my history and all my text and everything I write and post for your experiments and your advertisers, then I should get like a small percentage in an account. Even if it's just to buy stupid Facebook games or send my friends, iTunes or, a music library or something to listen to for 30 days. Some electronic, maybe Facebook should start throwing electronic currency. There you go, yucker fucker. There's a good idea for making more billions. You know what I mean? But I should be able to opt in for you to take my data and use it for your benefit and the benefits of all these other entities. I even opted in to you being able to take my data and utilize it for your profit. Now, using the user agreement, and that's the loophole, but they're not going to let them get away with this. The loophole is saying that, just by using the product, you've agreed to that. The judge is saying absolutely not.
Right.
Because it's vague, and their terms and conditions have changed 37 times since
every time you turn around, they're changing.
Right. So how is that? Let's make it one thing, get people to sign up, and then change it without people even realizing it. He's done that a million times. How many times do we all have our pages private and then turn around 6 weeks later and go, holy shit, my stuff's all public, and it's being indexed by Google?
Right.
I just made everything public now. I'm like, fuck it. You know what? Look at it all.
Anyway.
Well, I did it. I'm like, look at it all. It's like flashing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you do want to opt out of any of that, you know what? They have you go jump through hoops and hoops and hoops, and you have to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into the agreements.
I don't think they'll even let you. I don't think they'll even let you. Pretty much it's come down to close your account.
Yeah.
With a lot of this stuff, if you don't like it, then close your account.
Yeah.
If you don't agree to these terms and conditions, there's a lot of software like that. Do you agree to these terms and conditions? If you hit no, it just closes the program.
Yeah, that's right. You don't use it. Yeah. And more their agreements are getting longer and longer. Just like a bill going through Congress, it starts out one way and ends up thousands of pages. Well, that's happening with all these agreements, too. And nobody reads through them. No.
All right, here, I'm going to read a little bit more. So, Facebook, quote, has not offered a sufficient explanation of how the challenged practice falls within the ordinary course of its business, unquote, Judge Hamilton said. The court said Facebook's terms of service is too vague to surmise whether its users ultimately consented to the company's scan of their private messages for advertising uses. I know I never did.
Right, and private means...
Private is... Well,
right.
At least you expect a modicum of privacy. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're not expecting that there won't be some NSA snoop combing through it, but you most certainly aren't expecting them to give access to some third-party freaking company that you didn't sign up for to be scanning all your private messages. And, I think they're thinking they can get away with this because of the Google patent that can use your ambient room noise to advertise to you and things of that nature. And I'm sure that that's what they're going to piggyback on because that has been allowed.
Right.
But that's not... Well, I guess it is maybe... I don't know. That's really a sticky line because your conversations in your home and in front of your computer and in front of your TV are considered private.
You would think. But in their agreements, they say they're not, though.
Well, in your own home, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get myself a really nice pair of needle-nose pliers with snippy ends on them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start cutting camera wires.
Right, and mics.
Yeah. Well, now they're all integrated just like in a car, so you won't be able to change anything. And notice that's what we were talking about before with technology getting smaller and smaller and smaller and faster, and we're coming to the singularity. That's kind of what's happening right now. And but as things get smaller and faster and more integrated, I mean, it's exactly what happened to the car. In the old days, you used to be able to fix your own car. You could tell a timing tick. You know what I mean?
Right.
You had your carburetor was dirty. Distributor cap. Exactly. And now, who the hell knows?
Right. Now it's all circuits.
And it's all integrated. You know, you can't go in and pull something out and replace it. You got to take it in. That's all there is to it. You got to take it in and let the professionals deal with it. Plug it into the computer. And, you know, even these techs don't even know. They got to plug it into the computer and run a diagnostic.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you tell them, well, it's doing this. Well, you have to bring it in and we have to put it up on the machine. And they charge you $100 to do that. You know, crazy. I used to always work on my own cars. Not anymore.
But see, it's all this whole complex of making you dependent on the machine.
Yeah.
All right, let me read a little bit more of this Facebook thing. Plaintiffs said they have reasonable expectation of privacy within their user-to-user messaging, and I would agree with that. If I am sending an email or a message to someone, I don't expect advertisers to be combing through my quote-unquote private messages. And then is my name on it and the other person's name on it, and maybe the NSA, you know?
Well, yeah, don't forget the NSA.
Though it said it stopped the practice in question in late 2012, and I'm going to tell you that Facebook is a lying sack of shit. It did not stop the practice in late 2012 because I'm still getting ads for shit I drop in my chats to my friends. Facebook said in an October motion hearing, according to Courthouse News, that it does have the right to analyze users' messages, and it still does to some degree. Oh, there you go. To protect against viruses and help filter out spam. Oh, well, the other day I dropped my friend a link and I get this big red, this URL has been blocked from our messaging system.
I've gotten those too. Yeah.
And this is bullshit. They stopped the practice in 2012 of advertising to you from your private emails. I believe if I go back through the timeline, I started this in 2011. In 2012, I was still on the other network. That hadn't even started yet. And they filed this. They sued in December of 2013. Yeah, I'm going to say it was more 2013 when that was made public that this was being done.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think it was 2013.
Yeah, I don't see them saying they stopped it in 2012. In 2012, no one even thought about stealing private messages for advertisers yet.
Right.
Right? There was Google and Yahoo and Samsung and all those other companies who decided that they were going to start. Like, that was when I first started seeing my Gmail, when I'm sitting out here having a conversation about something and I see ads in my Gmail box floating on the top about shit I just talked about. I talked about that on air.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, let me... Quote, the fact that Facebook can configure its code to scan message content for certain purposes, but not for others, leaves open the possibility that the challenge practice constitutes a separate interception, unquote, Judge Hamilton wrote on Tuesday. Quote, Facebook moves to strike plaintiffs' request for injunctive relief. Facebook moves to strike plaintiffs' request for injunctive relief, arguing that it has ceased the challenge practice, quote, nearly 2 years ago, Hamilton wrote. However, the plaintiffs have adequately alleged that there is a, quote, sufficient likelihood, unquote, that Facebook could resume the practice, so the court denies Facebook's request to strike the injunctive relief at this time.
So it sounds like, I mean, the judge is on their side. I mean,
sounds
not
like the
on
judge
Facebook,
doesn't believe Facebook. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Neither Facebook nor the attorneys for the plaintiffs responded for immediate requests for comment. In addition to Facebook, Yahoo and Earthlink have faced similar lawsuits. Google's Gmail is currently, there we go, appealing accusations that it violated the Wiretap Act as it scanned Gmail messages for targeted ad purposes. Meanwhile, and they still are, by the way. Meanwhile, in Europe, Facebook is fighting off a class action lawsuit filed in August, which claims Facebook violated users' privacy by cooperating with the National Security Agency's PRISM surveillance program. You know what? The only way we're going to get through to these people, I don't know if I ever got to read that story on Friday that I did last week about New York City's police department, the NYPD, where the newest comptroller said the costs are getting out of hand with these lawsuits.
Yeah, what was it? 10 a day?
Well, he created an application.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, he created an application to map all the lawsuits against different departments in the city, and the top of the line was the NYPD.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only way anyone's going to pay attention.
I couldn't believe 10 lawsuits a day.
Yeah,
New York Police Department.
I saw one of my friends actually shared my story and didn't know it was me.
Okay, I didn't know it was you either.
Yeah, I wish my friends knew it was me. I've seen them sharing my stuff, and I don't really want to make that right. Public because I'm writing it under a pseudonym for reasons that should be pretty obvious. But what was I saying now?
About the app following
yeah, one of my friends posted, and somebody posted in the comments that there's 43 lawsuits a day against Walmart. I thought it was kind of funny too.
Yeah, and why? How? So many lawsuits, and people just ignore them and go on, and then they complain later that it happens to them. If something's being sued that many times, you don't want to do business with them.
Well, what I'm thinking, though, and not that we want to encourage a litigious society here, but here's the thing. It's obvious that and we've even talked about this, about people that are asleep to all the stuff that's going on. And we've said all along, you know what? The masses will start waking up when it hits them in their pocketbooks. Mm-hmm. When food gets too expensive to be able to buy what you like. When there aren't any jobs and everyone finds themselves unemployed. And now, the state's going to take your house because you didn't pay your taxes.
Right.
When you hit them in the pocketbook where it hurts, people start to pay attention. So, in the case of New York City, with these lawsuits, the comptroller now is the one who's sitting up going, look at it, cost us $6 billion since 2000 paying out these lawsuits.
Right.
And this is unsustainable. We cannot continue to pay these types of bills. And something I've talked about before, but my dad and I were talking about it while he was here over Christmas, and he absolutely agrees with me. I've talked about, you guys up your way with your secessionist movement, but here in New York, we had a secessionist movement back in the 80s where they were, and if there ever was a case for one, it absolutely is here in New York, splitting New York City off from the state of New York. And they had proposed that the state of New York be called its original name, New Amsterdam, and New York be called New York City, or whatever the hell they want to call it. But here's the fact of the matter. When I'm telling my dad about these lawsuits and my husband, they both had said, that's our tax money. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You know what? Right. What I'm doing here in upstate New York and working in taxes goes to pay for New York City, which has nothing to do with me. I was trying to explain to my daughter how when you tell people you're from New York, first thought is they're thinking about skyscrapers. And New York looks nothing like that. New York is trees and rolling hills for much of it. And you get around the steel cities and you got some city. But, once you get out in the outskirts and you're on the thruway or you head south, it's all country.
Right, just like here. Southern California is all skyscrapers. Up here, it's all mountains.
Right, exactly. Well, we don't have mountains, but we got the foothills to the Appalachian. Well, yeah, we do have mountains. Yeah, we got the Adirondacks and we got the Catskills.
Mm-hmm.
So back. But, and the Berkshires are right at the border there. I mean, it's beautiful here. So, but that's $6 billion from 2000 to 2010 that New York City paid out in lawsuits. Guess what? That was my tax dollars that went into that. Why am I paying for that asshole Pantalero in New York City to cause lawsuits? So I have every right to say something. And you know what? Cut him off. I don't want to pay for New York City anymore. They got millions and millions, tens of millions of residents in that city, more than enough people to pay for their own shit.
And they make laws that pertain to you from there that have never even been up to where you live. That's what our grievance is here. And on the 25th, we're taking 3 more declarations from counties down to Sacramento. It's really getting to going now here.
Yeah, none of their laws. They actually have a separate city tax, a separate income city tax too that they pay. They pay their own like property taxes. They don't have county taxes like we do. They have a city tax. They're a lot self-sustaining as compare. I mean, I don't think it would be too hard for them to cut up. But what they couldn't get anymore would be the state aid that they're sucking out of Albany. You know what I mean? And one of the other things is, their laws in New York City don't apply to here. Laws out of Albany apply to the entire state, though. So, like when we had, and there was a big question. Oh, what was his name? Bloomy. When Bloomy passed the 32-ounce ban for sodas in New York City, the question was it going to pertain here? And the answer, I believe, was no, but I know. See, here's the thing: it was Bloomy, Schumi, and Cuomo, the unholy trinity, right? And those two were all butt rubbing each other, So and Bloomy then went on his whole anti-gun bus trip, remember, to all the different mayors across the country with all kinds of money against the NRA, trying to get gun legislation passed, as Cuomo was passing the SAFE Act. So, they act in tandem. And actually, that reminds me, I found a story yesterday. Where did all my links go? I found a story yesterday I wanted to share with you guys about, what's that asshole out of New Jersey? The head dude. The big loudmouth, obnoxious. I can't stand him. Hold on, I'm getting there. The governor, Chris Christie.
Yeah.
And Cuomo. All right. So the story doesn't grab you by the story does not grab you with the headlines as to what the implications are here. But if you put on your thinking caps and you think about it for a minute, I think you'll get what I got out of this. New York, New Jersey governors veto Port Authority reform bill. Now, okay, that doesn't mean anything to anyone outside of New York and New Jersey, except it should. If you remember the flap with Chris Christie, back a few months ago when all that happened, and I don't know, they were doing all this political bullshit. Now, he thought he was going to be a contender at one point for presidential aspirations. I think that has pretty much been nixed. They put him up on the assassination stage with that whole Port Authority thing, where he had blocked lanes of traffic.
Right.
And now New York and New Jersey are right next to each other. You got the Lincoln Tunnel. That if don't ever go through the Lincoln Tunnel at rush hour or on any of the bridges. My sister, when she was in school there, we had made so many trips and we drove, and it's not a short drive. I mean, it's 7.5 to 8 hours, and then they had traffic into it. It is not a short trip to New York. If you do it like I did the last 2 times, where you drive all night long, you leave here at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and then you hit the road, you'll get to New York by sunrise when the garbage trucks are out, so there's no traffic, and make it to your destination and pass out by the time the sun's up,
Yeah, but if you wait an hour later, man, it's just like traffic.
Oh, yeah, and I'll tell you what, I'm not good in traffic to begin with, and not because I can't drive in it, but because of road rage. I just get so pissed off at stupid drivers and people in general, so it's not a good thing for me, but yeah, if you drive all night and you get there at the early hours of the morning, all that's out are garbage trucks, and they don't mess with you. And you know what? They'd probably even give you directions if you got lost. But get there during rush hour, and especially trying to get into New York from one of these bridges.
It takes you another 8 hours.
Yeah, it's nightmarish. And then when you get to the toll, it's probably going to be $16 to boot. You know, the pricing is just insane. But here's the thing. So Christie was accused of political maneuvering because I don't remember the details, and honestly I don't even care about the details of the whole situation, but there was some political maneuvering going on where they were trying to get a budget or they're trying to get money or whatever, and so he gave his people, and I think that they proved that or maybe he said he didn't know but his people knew, and they said, well, the only way his people could have known is if it came from the top, to intentionally close lanes and make traffic very difficult to punish someone for some political inaction that they made, okay? And I believe, too, there was some story where some kid died. Wasn't that what made it all blow up?
Yeah.
There was something that happened and a kid died, and it was because of the lanes being closed, and this was a big political maneuver. Yeah, so it was a big situation. So out of all of this comes discussions, and it got real quiet for a while, but they wanted this Port Authority reform bill. Okay. New York, New Jersey governors veto Port Authority reform bill. So that's the title of the story. Albany, New York. The governors of New York and New Jersey jointly, which I thought that was kind of odd, but okay, jointly vetoed legislation on Saturday aimed at overhauling the Port Authority and proposed instead a series of reforms they said would go further in bringing accountability to the agency. Now remember, too, this isn't just bridges. This is any incoming ports in New York. And there's a lot. Port Authority is also in charge of like Grand Central Station, right? Where all the traffic is coming to New York. Exactly, because of the trains. And then you also have all the shipping ports, and with the containers. Port Authority is basically Port Authority, but New York is an international port, right? It's a big international airport, and New Jersey between JFK and off the top of my head, Newark. That's the airport that I always would fly into Newark, and then I take the bus to New York. Because it's easier and JFK is more international, where Newark does domestic as well as international. But I don't know if I ever flew international out of Newark. Usually just from Buffalo, I'd fly into Newark. But anyway, it's Port Authority deals with import-export, basically. And so anyway, here, let me read a little bit more of this. The bill was designed to clean up an agency long known for dysfunction and scandals, including the most recent lane closures. Oh, it was the George Washington Bridge that ensnarled New Jersey Governor Chris Christie's administration. So that's what we were just talking about. So sorry, it was not the Lincoln Tunnel, it was the George Washington Bridge. It had the unanimous support of all the New York and the New Jersey legislatures. So they all wanted to pass this new reform bill to clean up these scandals that have been long known to be going on. And think about this. New Jersey, New York, Port Authority, bridges, shipment, import, export. Wow, there's a lot of stuff that could be involved there. True?
No kidding, yep.
All right. So it says, the bill... All right, so this is like the money shot that I want you to pay attention to. The bill would have overhauled the troubled agency by requiring an independent annual audit, creating an inspector's general's office.
There it is.
Restricting lobbying, and creating a whistleblower protection program. It also would have required Port Authority board members to swear that they will act in good faith. But in a joint statement, Chris Christie and Andrew Cuomo announced their vetoes of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey legislation. Now, why the fuck would they do that? Is that not interesting?
Oh man, that's
why would they do that? Yeah. I was like, without an admission of guilt, there is a huge admission of guilt here. Mario Cuomo, his dad, I don't know, is Mario still alive? Does anyone know?
I don't know.
Mario, I never really looked into Mario, but he was governor when I was in college, so we're talking about the 80s. The one thing that Mario did is he fought to keep a state education cost low. And he did a good job. I went to a state university for $675 a semester. That's how I worked waiting tables and paid for my college in quarters and pennies. But Andrew Cuomo is a bit of a different story. Andrew Cuomo is the one with the knee-jerk reaction that signed the SAFE Act and wait until Part 2 goes into effect. And I would love to be able to find some corruption on Andrew Cuomo. Maybe we should start digging into Port Authority.
Yeah.
And his associations with Chris Christie.
Mm.
Chris Christie, I wouldn't trust as far as you could throw him.
I wouldn't either.
Chris Christie, you probably couldn't throw him very far.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. He's a big, blobulous blowhard is what he is. Every time I hear him talk, and I mean, he is so rude to people. Have you seen him in like board meetings and stuff? He just blah, 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 and yells over people. He is just such an obnoxious asshole. Oh. So do I need to read any more of that? So they vetoed oversight and cleaning up the scandal of the Port Authority.
Well, I mean, there's guilt written all over that.
Well, and literally, Christie, it was dotted line, but Christie had something to do with it. I mean, I read so many stories when that happened, because I was like, what is the big deal about this? So what? There were lanes closed. There's always lanes closed. But I didn't understand the whole background, and you know what? I don't even remember, because then I flushed it from the memory hole, because it really didn't matter at that point.
Yeah, when it happened, I couldn't figure out why they were making such a big deal out of it, because, traffic happens all the time.
Right. A traffic jam in a closed lane on a bridge in New York City is not...
it shouldn't be that big a deal,
Right. Exactly.
Because we get that all the time down in L.A., too. Like, during the summer, they're doing road work, and there's always lanes closed, and you're going to be there 4 or 5 hours more.
Right. Hey, I'm going to drop the last couple stories. The one about the UN Small Arms Treaty that we did in the beginning, I put in chat. The Facebook lawsuit for the advertising messaging.
That'll be interesting to follow.
Yeah.
I'd
to see. And here we go for that's the reform bill that's been vetoed by the governors of New York and New Jersey. I just can't even believe that. And I don't think anyone got it, because only 12 people read the story. But I started it out with,
that catches me every time when I see that.
Yeah, so I don't know. And we can continue on. There's some other stuff. So, all the stuff going on in New York City now, they had the funerals for those 2 cops that were shot by that guy. I didn't really, I heard somebody the one day on air. I don't even remember who it was, but they were spouting off every freaking detail of this shooting in New York, the cop shooting. Of they knew every step of this dude's day that he made before he got there to shoot the cops. And I was like, Jesus Christ, who has that much spare fucking time in their lives that they can follow every detail of some random shooter dude that got pissed off because the cops are dicks? You know what I mean?
Right.
That just reminded me of the whole Sandy Hook freakazoid stuff that goes on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Obsessive people that are paying attention to details that are meant to distract you. You know, here's the thing. When you focus on the nitty-gritty all the time, you're not seeing the big picture. And I learned that a long time ago. You need to fly up above it all to see the dots connect. If you're stuck in the quagmire of details, you're never going to see the big picture.
Right.
I mean, it's good when it's important and all the details are important, but the fact that you're paying attention to all these details because you're standing there getting ready to call bullshit on another one of these orchestrated stories by showing, you know, how, oh, this is a crisis actor and, oh, the cops really didn't die. You know what? I don't give a shit if they did or if they didn't because it doesn't matter. And I said that with Sandy Hook. I said that with the Boston bombing. You know, the details are for crazy people. The details are to distract the people with OCD who make us look like lunatics.
Right.
Okay? Because they obsess over it, and that's all they talk about then for 6 months, and then put it all over the internet with these crazy theories. You are meant to make us look like lunatics. Don't obsess over the details because they don't fucking matter. And you know why? Because the end result is the same. Gun control. Taking away the weapons. Demonizing your next door neighbor. Right? There's a bigger picture here.
Militarizing the police.
Police, exactly. The details don't matter. After the first one, which was the Aurora shooting, I believe, which Stephanie Sledge did a wonderful job investigating for 3 years, we didn't need to know anymore. Every single time there was a school shooting after that, boop, well, there's another one, whether it was real or not. Now, the whole SSRI and glyphosate connection is sure damn interesting. Notice how that never got major mainstream coverage.
Right, it's hushed up.
As the pharmaceutical companies could have massive fucking lawsuits over that. Because all it would take, according to Dr. Lucier, is a cheek swab to discover whether or not you had a suppressed cytochrome P450 enzyme before they put you on SSRIs.
Right.
But no, they won't do that. So they just feed you the pills. And guess what? How many of us don't have Roundup in our system? How many of us didn't eat GMO corn?
Right.
Or, you know.
For years without knowing.
And it's in our groundwater. Anyway, they're finding it in breast milk of mothers. So everybody's got it in you. So we all, and you know what? It makes you more sensitive to pharmaceuticals. That is the pharmaceutical regulation. It is also, the cytochrome P450 is also the enzyme that is responsible for all of these Western diseases that we now have. The metabolic syndromes and the diabetes and the heart disease.
Right.
There's a huge connecting point there, but they're not going to talk about that. They're not going to talk about how all these kids in these schools that are whacking off with these guns going, you know, insane. I mean, were they on drugs? Well, yeah, a lot of them were. They were all diagnosed as ADHD or whatever. Oh, well, look, and what do we feed our kids traditionally in this country? Fast food.
Macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, loaded with glyphosate.
Yeah. So, and now they're putting preschoolers on pharmaceutical drugs. You know, how can you? This has always bothered me. How do you diagnose a 3-year-old and say they have bipolar? You know, I know, and yet they're doing it daily.
Yeah. Well, back to this shooter thing. So hold on, let me turn this heat off. Hold on. All right, so, you know, the shooter thing in New York, like I said, I heard, like, somebody just spewing off details, like, and then he went, and, you know, he went to work, and then he went home, and he changed his underwear, and then he shot his girlfriend. I'm like, you know what? I don't give a shit what he did. All I know is that they're saying 2 cops down, and they're pointing to someone who got disgruntled over police brutality. That's all that matters, because that's the connecting point they want the public to see. That's the connecting point they want in the headlines. Anyone who is against cops is a terrorist.
Right.
They are a potential violent individual, and maybe you should report your neighbor if they make anti-police comments.
Yeah.
See something, say something.
Yeah, they arrested one guy for repeating one of that guy's statements.
Right. That's actually one of the things that we were going to look at. I had that open before when I was talking, and now, hold on. There was, you know what I do have to do is kill the player, and let me pull in. Oh, it is off. Let me pull in myself. There were a couple clips we're going to listen to. And my name starts with J.
Yes, it does.
It's
on Mondays.
Yeah, on Monday it starts at J. J. There we are. It's still always hard to remember. And I'm not ringing. Oh, there we are. Okay. Oh, yeah, this is the machine that has all kinds of background noise with the NSA driving with the window open.
Yeah.
Remember when we used to get that all the time?
Yes.
Like, literally, it would sound like someone driving in a car with a window open about an inch and a half.
Yep.
And then it would stop.
Just out of the blue.
Okay, yeah, so there was a story, and this is from a couple days ago, and I think we actually briefly mentioned it, but you were mentioning it just now, about some guy, and here. Some guy who got arrested for a Facebook post. Hopefully this will play. I don't know, there's been some real issues with some websites in particular here over the last few days. And we've been spending a lot of time online with the internet service provider who says that there is nothing wrong on their end. All right, here we go. Short little clippy.
Good morning, I'm Michelle Franzen.
And I'm Candace Gibson with the top stories on this Friday, December 26th. New York police have arrested at least 2 people for making new threats against cops. In the apartment of one suspect, police say they found a cache of illegal weapons. They belong to a man who was overheard saying he wanted to kill cops. New Yorkers are paying their respects to the 2 police officers who were assassinated last weekend. One of the officers will be remembered at a wake today, his funeral tomorrow.
I didn't actually hear that one of the guys had a cat. I love the way they say cache. That almost sounds fake. Isn't it a cache? They had a cache of weapons. Like the E is silent, dude. Mm-hmm. Unless your name is, what did he say his name was? Hold on, what was his name?
I didn't catch it.
Oh, and now it won't load. Oh, here we go. Wait. Come on. I think I disconnected. Oh, damn it.
With the top stories on this Friday, December...
Hold on, I want to hear his name.
Oh,
his name is Candace. If your name is Candace, you could say cache.
Okay.
All right. There was a guy, I think it was in Massachusetts, and I don't know if there's an update on the story, but yeah, he actually quoted what the, and I don't even know the guy's name that shot the cops in New York, because like I said, it doesn't matter to me at all. It does not matter to me. What matters to me is that they've chalked another one up that now they're going to use to demonize people with. But he quoted what the guy said before he pulled the trigger and posted it on his Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I gotta disconnect again. I hate the noise this YouTube or Skype makes. All right, Chicopee, Mass. Emotions are running high, and police across the nation are on high alert after the killing of 2 NYPD officers on Saturday afternoon. Emotions are also running high with a huge portion of Americans who have been watching police kill and brutalize with impunity. And, of course, people have taken to social media to vent their frustrations, hurt, and anger. Sometimes people express themselves in a strong way, so in this age of Orwellian spying and rights disappearing before our eyes, how far is too far? Where does freedom of speech end, and when does venting become a threat to commit a crime? Good question. Now, we've actually seen a few cases now where people have posted stuff that have gotten them arrested on Facebook. And I mean, I don't remember any of those cases in particular. I just remember that quite a while ago, we were already dealing with this issue. Be careful what you post, right? And it was just as we were discovering that law enforcement was scanning everything that was out there, and Facebook just bent right over and spread them.
Yep.
DeRosa did not say and this is the gentleman, Charlie DeRosa. He did not say, I'm not even going to say any of this because I'm not going to say it on air.
Right.
He simply quoted the now infamous caption from the NYPD's killer's Instagram. Chicopee police are comparing the post to yelling fire in a crowded theater and claim the post, quote, scared a lot of the guys, unquote.
Oh, God. So now you're guilty for repeating what someone else says.
Uh-huh. That's why I'm not even repeating it. I mean, it's like saying the B word on air, the 4-letter B word. Remember? Remember
yeah,
for a while
I remember that.
Every time we'd say it on air, our connection would get attacked and our web would go down. And yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
The police have filed a criminal complaint, and DeRosa will have to appear in court for, quote, threatening to commit a crime.
By repeating what someone else that did commit a crime said.
Right, and I don't know about you, but isn't that just like thought police?
Yeah,
threatening.
It's like gossip. It's gossip.
You didn't commit anything.
Right.
And I mean, this isn't even he thought about it. He just repeated what was said.
Right.
This is just like ridiculousness of ridiculousness.
They're making up laws as they go along, you know?
Well, and the Supreme Court said they could. As long as they believed it to be reasonable, remember?
Yeah.
That was last week, or 2 weeks ago. Back in August, a man was arrested and jailed for more than a week when he posted the lyrics. Oh, yeah, I remember this one.
Oh, yeah.
When he posted the lyrics to a song by the metal band Exodus on his Facebook profile. He was charged with making terroristic threats, which could have led him to a decade in prison.
Yeah, for repeating lyrics that goes out over the radio every day.
Yep. The ACLU quickly jumped on the case and argued that his post was protected by the First Amendment, leading to charges being dropped. And I'll tell you what, that is what this is fighting with right now, is the right to free speech and where to draw that line. And that slope is very slippery at the moment. And if you take a look at the fact that they've now passed privacy laws under the guise of national security in both Japan and Australia, you better believe that, and with this lockdown and the internet that's coming and the UN getting involved, you wait and see. I'm telling you that it is coming.
Like book burning. It's a tone to book burning.
I actually just watched, I caught the very end of one of the Indiana Jones yesterday with the Nazis, with, what's his name? Harrison Ford and his dad, Sean Connery. You know the one I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
And that took place in Nazi Germany, and when they showed up in Germany, that's what they were doing. They were having a rally, and all the children were throwing books onto a big bonfire.
God.
And my daughter asked me, why are they burning books? And I said, you know why, honey? Because back in those days, they didn't have the internet, so the books were the only place where you could find the truth. And they didn't want people to know the truth because they wanted you to believe what they told you to believe. So if they burned all the books, all the truth would be gone. That's exactly it. The ACLU quickly jumped on the case and argued that his post was protected by the First Amendment, leading to the charges being dropped. So where do we draw the line? We all say things we don't necessarily mean or things that we wouldn't do. When is trolling or venting actually a credible threat? And trust me, how many of us, I mean, if you have a kid, you've said it a million times, you're going to be grounded until you're 18.
Right.
You know, I mean, come on. Every day we say shit that we don't really mean or that isn't absolutely possible ever.
That's why these people that say, I don't care if the NSA listens, I don't do anything wrong, are just so out of it that they don't use their brain. Like you said, every day we say something it could be turned around, you know, and used against us.
Or communicated with someone who said something and you could have been considered an accessory. Okay. I can't even count the number of times I have said Michael Bay should be shot Michael Bay should be shot for butchering the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with his awful remake. But do I actually want him shot?
Right.
Well, no, not fatally at least. Kidding. Would I shoot him or suggest someone else shoot him? No, of course not. The First Amendment is important, and it was left vague for our protection, not for the government. And this is this is a very slippery slope we are definitely sliding on with this selective enforcement. And hey, look at this. This nice person embedded a video on this actual Chicopee story. So hold on one second. If it loads.
Police have filed a criminal complaint against a Chicopee resident after he posted what they're calling a threat on Facebook earlier today. It comes after a particularly violent weekend for law enforcement. CBS 3's Michelle Kingston is live now in Chicopee with the very latest. Michelle?
Charisse, it's a threat Chicopee police say they are taking very seriously, especially after 2 NYPD officers were shot and killed over the weekend. The phrase posted on Instagram by the man who shot and killed 2 NYPD officers on Saturday found posted again this morning on Facebook. Put wings on pigs, this time by a man in Chicopee.
We as a police department took this as a threat based upon the actions and everything that happened in New York City.
Chicopee police will file a criminal complaint in district court against Charles DeRosa, the Facebook user who posted the status.
You can't yell fire in a theater. You can't yell bomb in an airport. And a day after officers are executed with a certain byline, we take it as a threat if you post that on a Facebook post, and we have a job we're going to do.
Facebook members have been commenting on the post on Chicopee Police Department's Facebook wall, as well as the CBS 3 Springfield wall. Some thanking the anonymous resident who showed the post to police.
Oh my God! Let me back up.
Oh God!
Yeah, and yeah, she turned in the guy, and she probably was his Facebook friend too, to boot.
Probably.
Which, mind you, I said this the other day, about a year ago, I deleted 100 Facebook friends, quote-unquote friends, because many of them were people I haven't seen in 25 years.
Right, you don't know what they're about anymore.
Well, and they don't know what you're about, so they see you posting stuff about brutality, they're going to think you're some psycho, you know what I mean, and decide that they're going to report you.
Yeah.
So I was like, screw this shit.
This big deal. 2 police officers were killed. How many innocent citizens have police killed? And there's nothing on the news about it. It may be a little blip.
Well, not only that, but we were talking about this at dinner a couple nights ago, is they had 25,000 or maybe even more. I don't know. That was one of the numbers that I saw. Cops fly to New York for this memorial service. What about the little kid who had the flashbang in her face?
Right. Or that 12-year-old boy.
That was shot. Or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, where is the
empathy for them?
Well, exactly. These police, and some of these were absolutely ruled as accidental death. I don't see them mourning en masse. And when there's a mass outpouring of support and protest, then we become criminals.
Right.
All right. I wanted to just read. They didn't read these, but they give like screenshots of status updates from these people that had said stuff about his posting. This girl, Tina Kissesi, all of these threats made on Facebook should be taken seriously, especially when it's about our law enforcement, she says.
Oh, like there's something special, more special than anybody else?
Well, these are the people that are going to be dialing you up to the Nazis. These are your next door neighbors that are going to be calling because they heard you yelling about something.
Right.
Saying the police should come investigate is the anonymous tip to get her $50 Walmart card.
Yeah.
All right, here's a little bit more.
Wall, as well as the CBS 3 Springfield wall. Some thanking the anonymous resident who showed the post to police.
See, the anonymous resident. Anonymous. It must have been a friend of his.
I bet it was.
Here, I want to read there was another one that they skipped over that I didn't catch.
Wall. Some thanking the...
Here, Jeannie Fitzgerald. Terrible, but glad this person was caught. Thank you to the Chicopee citizens who notified the Chicopee Police Department. Be safe out there, officers. And all the guy did was quote the other dude. I didn't see any threat anywhere.
Right.
And by making this now something that they're going to make a case out of, this should be an alert to every single one of us. Anyone on the radio, anyone posting anywhere on social media, you better be stepping and double checking every single word and the way you word it.
Or not even just posting, but how about sharing something that someone has said?
Exactly. That's another good question. Or how about sharing a meme?
Yeah.
Is that going to make you liable then?
Yeah, well, it looks like it's going that way.
So, all right, here's a little bit more.
Anonymous resident who showed the post to police. Others calling for freedom.
Oh, wait, here's another one. Freedom of speech isn't to protect things you want to hear. Just saying, this is ridiculous. He put up a quote. I saw no threat. Good job, Ronnie Dooch.
Yeah.
That's what that one. And that's exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
Of speech. Chicopee police officer Michael Wilkes says officers here and across the country are on high alert following the shooting deaths of the New York City police officers.
Because of the incident and that it just happened this weekend, it does scare a lot of the guys. I mean, they're out there, they're out parked in their cruisers at night doing their job.
Well, how about the citizens out driving at night, afraid of the police pulling them over?
Right, because they might get the shit kicked out of them. Or handcuffed and shoot themselves in the back seat.
In the back of the head in the cop car.
Exactly.
Handcuffed.
Yeah, handcuffed.
Police notified area departments on the post as well as the Massachusetts State Police. Live in Chicopee, Michelle Kingston, CBS 3 Springfield.
So there you go.
That's dangerous, people. That everyone should take heed to this because
I'm saying they've just notched it up another notch. That's what this shooting was all about. Mm-hmm. This shooting was to absolutely 100% take this the next step.
Justify any shooting that cops do anymore. It is if it's not already, but...
And remember, again, you brought it up in the very beginning, the Global Small Arms Treaty. Like I said, it isn't necessarily going to affect things for trading between individuals in the United States.
Yeah.
It's going to be for import-export. But currently right now, I mean, ammo coming from outside, guns coming from outside, that most certainly may affect things, especially with the UN getting involved in everything. If they decide...
they want gun registration.
Well, that's in New York.
No, I meant the UN and the Small Arms Treaty. There's a gun registration involved there, too. For all guns.
I remember the ammo, the serializing ammo. I don't remember seeing registration within our country. It's not involving inside the country. It's involving export.
But it won't be long before it moves inside, I'll bet you anything.
Well, that's what I said in the very beginning. This is the toe in the water for the UN now to get their dirty little grubby hands on our Constitution. That's it.
Yeah.
And to be able to force their rules down our throat. To be able to... This NYPD thing had to be the big cherry on the top to make people go, oh, we need to support gun legislation. And New York was the place to do it because they already ramrodded us with the SAFE Act. On the tail of, Sandy Hook. And now look at this. On the tail of this police shooting, the UN Small Arms. And I mean, it has not been ratified. Let's get that straight. It has not been it's been signed, but it has not been ratified. Now, Congress is on vacation.
Yep, and
when they come back, it's going to be the new Congress.
Yeah, they're supposed to make everything good.
All right, so there was another clip I wanted to look at. That was the story with an embedded clip, but there was another clip that, let me scroll up. And something else that we didn't even get to is all this hacking and what I've been seeing on that IP Viking network. I mean, I think they really are planning on taking it all down. There's some crazy shit going on. Oh, now there have been 7 people arrested, by the way, for threatening the NYPD. So hold on. In that story, it had said 2. Now it's 7.
Wow.
NYPD in mourning and on heightened alert.
Any statements suggesting violence towards the police need to be reported to the police so we can stop future tragedies.
7 people arrested in connection with making threats against NYPD. 3 arrested for posting threats on social media. 2 for making false 911 calls. 2 others arrested. 1 for making threats against the 104th Precinct in Queens. The other against the 84th Precinct in Brooklyn, where the 2 assassinated officers worked. Officer Rafael Ramos's family came to the 84th Precinct Wednesday. His eldest son, Justin, calling his father a hero, said, "I'm going to miss his loving presence, and I can't begin to fathom what life is going to be like without him." The memorial to the 2 officers growing in proportion to the sorrow felt citywide. Police have come, sometimes alone, others in groups, all in a show of respect, their grief unmistakable.
And if the citizens grieve one of theirs killed by the police, you know, the threats to them aren't taken seriously at all. It doesn't matter, you know. They're just citizens. What makes these cops so much more important than the rest of us?
Well, I just don't see how they can arrest anybody for something posted on social media or for a phone call or for, you know what I mean?
And it's not threatening, not saying I'm going to go do something. It's
Here.
a comment.
This is the other clip I was looking for, actually. Hold on.
The ambush of officers Ramos and Liu has made police around the country more aware of the power of social media. Currently, 8 out of 10 law enforcement officials use social media during investigations. That's almost a 10% increase from just 2 years ago.
Joining us now from Washington is Sean Henry. He is the former executive assistant director of the FBI and was the agency's top agent on cybersecurity issues. Sean, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you. So this topic has sort of been out there for a while, this notion of social media going hand in hand with investigations. But I think I read from an expert once saying something like, it's like trying to take a sip from a fire hydrant. I mean, is social media really useful when it comes to this?
Well, social media has really transformed the way citizens communicate, and police officers, the law enforcement community must stay constantly in contact with its citizens, be receptive and responsive to citizens' complaints, and be able to monitor trends that are occurring within communities. So it certainly has changed the way law enforcement works with and responds to crimes.
Sean, Mark Albert mentioned that there were 7 arrests for threats to police in New York this week. 3 of those apparently came out of information from social media. How do police actually track this stuff?
That's right. So law enforcement looks at aggregate data. They can use social media to monitor trends and to follow developments within a community. They've got the ability, using certain applications, to look for keywords or identifiers that might alert them to some ongoing threat or some act of violence.
You mentioned those techniques. I read about an algorithm. How exactly do you mine through? Is there a way to easily...
There we go.
There it is.
Yep. Algorithm. It's how they did the B, 4-letter B word. All right, here.
Explain to us how you find things on social media?
It's somewhat complex. You talk about algorithms. There are ways, computer code, computer programs that enable the users to search just the way citizens use to search for things via Google or other types of applications. But again, the ability for law enforcement to look at large swaths of data. There are billions of postings through dozens of popular social media platforms that law enforcement may look at.
Sean, obviously there's a lot of inflammatory dialogue on social media. How do you determine what is actually a threat?
That's a great question. I mean, this is an area where law enforcement has to be naturally cautious, because you can't infringe upon people's First Amendment rights. And there's
okay.
Yeah, they're worried about that.
a balance between the types of threats that we've seen here in New York and elsewhere versus people's legitimate right to speak freely and language that is protected by the Constitution. So law enforcement has to balance that. They have to look at the type of language that's being used. They look at whether somebody has the means or the motives, perhaps somebody who's actually gone out and purchased weapons or something of that nature, indicating that they're moving beyond just a statement to some actual act of violence.
So just purchasing a weapon apparently means that you're going to move to some act of violence, I guess.
So did this guy who they arrested, did he go out and buy a gun or something, and that made him think that his repeating was serious?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. And notice how polished this FBI dude is, making sure he's, well, we got to make sure that we protect the First Amendment. He's very rehearsed. And he is saying exactly what should be said because these are all the counterpoints to what we've been saying. So reassure the people that, no, we're not violating anyone's freedom of speech. We're not scanning all of your messages. Well, an algorithm is, but, we're being very careful to make certain. Yeah, but you know what? You put anything controversial on your social media and you just made it to the top of the red list. And you better believe now your cell phone's going to start doing messed up shit. All your computers are going to start doing messed up shit. You're probably going to have someone tailing you to see where you're going. They're going to be pulling all your files from your credit card to see what you bought online. Yeah. I think, here's something. Maybe we should all go on a spending spree and just start buying, gross stuff.
Oh, that would freak them out.
And then start making threats against people with, sex toys or something. You know what I mean? Come up with some ridiculous... I would love to be able to do something like that. Just come up with some ridiculous, threatening to beat someone to death with some disgusting implement.
Yeah.
Some very humorous, comedic implement.
Right, a wet noodle.
A wet noodle, a soft cushion.
This isn't good. This is not
it's
good
like
at
the kid getting suspended for the Pop-Tart gun.
Right.
Or for the NRA t-shirt. Or, for the finger going pew-pew.
Or they're trying to charge that one 7-year-old for a sex harassment because his hand accidentally touched a kid when they were playing kickball. That's so ridiculous.
Yeah,
man, people should really be paying attention to this. It's like 9/11 and everything else. It all is going in one direction.
Yeah, it sure is. It's just to move the truck forward. They put new wheels on the truck, too. Gave it a tune-up. Here's one that I should probably do a story on since I haven't seen it anywhere except for where I found it last night, which was a local paper. And on my Behind the Curtain page, it's already gotten 454 views, which is usually a pretty good indication that it would do well if it ended up on the anti-media. Berkeley County Sheriff, and this is in South Carolina, Wayne DeWitt, charged with DUI and leaving the scene of a wreck. Berkeley County Sheriff H. Wayne DeWitt was granted a personal recognizance bond on Sunday night at a Hill-Finkley detention center after allegedly plowing into another vehicle while driving drunk in a county-owned pickup and then leaving the scene.
Wow.
Judge James A. Polk said he issued the $10,997 unsecured bond because DeWitt, dressed at the hearing in a large camouflage jacket, gray t-shirt and jeans, was arrested by the South Carolina Highway Patrol and not a coroner. We brought this up in chat last night. And not a coroner, which is the only position in the state legally empowered to arrest a sheriff. Did you know about that?
I didn't know that.
I didn't either. Now, I did some research last night. Not all states make coroners in charge of sheriffs, but a lot of them do. There is a lot of them that say that the coroner is actually the top dog.
So another sheriff couldn't, or like a city policeman or whatever, could not arrest a sheriff.
Let me read a little bit more.
Okay.
He also questioned whether or not he had the authority to even issue a bond since they could be dealing with an illegal arrest. Now, wait a minute. The dude had a drunk driving hit and run in a county-owned pickup truck, and you're going to tell me because a state trooper, I believe it was, arrested him, you're questioning the legality of the arrest?
That's insane.
Give me a break. I was so aggravated when I saw this last night. Polk, who is the judge, asked Robert Windham, DeWitt's attorney, DeWitt's the sheriff, if he would like to make an argument regarding the arrest. So, like, they even gave him an out. But he declined, and he said that he would rather be reserved for a later court proceedings, which means that he needs to look into it and prepare his case. So I bet they're going to argue that he wasn't arrested. Now, well, wait, I'm going to read a little bit more, and I'm going to tell you what my take on this is. A February 11th court date was set for the DUI charge. The hit-and-run charge court date has not been set. DeWitt, the sheriff, 63, of Stratford Drive and Goose Creek, did not make any statements during the bond hearing, and Windham, his attorney, requested the personal recognizance bond on his behalf. Windham said that all of DeWitt's professional and personal ties were in Berkeley County and that he was neither a flight risk nor a danger to society. Yeah, and I'm sure that the judge and everyone else knows exactly who he is. I mean, do you really think that they're going to, like, rail this guy? Because I'm going to say not.
No. And you know what? I don't know if they did a blood test then or whatever.
Wait, I'm reading. Oh,
more. Okay.
The victim of the crash, identified as 21-year-old Robert B. Gonzalez, could not be reached by phone during his hearing. A trooper told the judge the extent of the victim's injuries were unknown, but that he was treated. So a trooper told the judge, so it must have been a trooper, that the extent of the victim's injuries were unknown, but that he was treated and released from Trident Medical Center. The trooper also told Polk that he was unaware that only a coroner could arrest a sheriff. DeWitt was arrested Sunday morning and charged with DUI and leaving the scene of a wreck. Troopers responded at 5:50 a.m. to a hit and run at Red Bank Road and Henry E. Brown Jr. Boulevard. Highway Patrol Sergeant Bob Baer said, and a 2010 Ford F-150 had struck the rear of a 2013 Nissan four-door and left the scene. Now, here's some of the key terms in this. The trooper was the one that made the arrest. The trooper told the judge that he was unaware that only a coroner could arrest a sheriff. This case took place in South Carolina. Now, if anyone remembers my story from 2 weeks ago about the Supreme Court ruling about the Fourth Amendment stating that a cop could arrest you, and any evidence found after that arrest, even if the arrest was based upon a law that really wasn't a law, if that cop believed it was a law and it was reasonable, any evidence that was found after that fact was ruled submissible.
Right.
That was the new Supreme Court ruling from a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? This is also in South Carolina, and this is 2 weeks later, and the state trooper was not unaware that only a coroner in South Carolina could arrest a sheriff. So I'm going to say, bullshit, he doesn't have a leg to stand on with this technicality, because that state trooper did what he was supposed to do. Right. Follow up on a hit and run and a DUI and arrest the guy who was behind it.
No matter who he was.
No matter who he was. The fact that he ended up being a lowlife sheriff, who, by the way, wait until you hear even more of this. As the trooper arrived at the wreck, the trooper, was told, Hannah police officers had stopped a pickup truck matching the description as the one involved in the crash. She then drove to the traffic stop about 4.5 miles from the crash and identified the DeWitt as the driver. Hannah Police Lieutenant Michael Fowler declined to comment about the traffic stop, deferring all questions to the Highway Patrol. They would only say that it was determined after examining the physical evidence at the traffic stop that the Berkeley County-owned truck was the same truck involved in the wreck. A subsequent field sobriety test determined that DeWitt was under the influence. The traffic stop where DeWitt was arrested is just under 10 miles from his home as well. DeWitt was taken to the L. Cannon Detention Center in Charleston, where he refused the Data Master breathalyzer test.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, no,
Did they give him a blood test?
No, and I was going to say, now, haven't we seen that's where you get strapped down and held against your will with a forced blood draw with a roadside warrant. So where the hell is that for this guy? Mm-hmm. He was released almost 12 hours later after his bond hearing. Polk said DeWitt is facing up to a year in jail for the charges, but because he refused the breath test, his license was automatically suspended for 6 months. But, quote, with a little legwork, however, the sheriff could get a provisional license.
Right, because of his job.
Right. Now, listen, even better. In November, a month ago, the South Carolina Department of Public Safety Office of Highway Safety awarded the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office, so this is this dude's office, $62,569 in a federal grant to bolster its efforts to reduce drunk driving. It's the third year the sheriff's office has participated in the program.
Oh, my God.
DeWitt's arrest came during his office's, quote, sober or slammer campaign, in which deputies step up DUI enforcement as part of the grant award. DeWitt has been sheriff since 94, and he was reelected to his position this year. He had a challenger in the primary race, but not in the general election. I have known Wayne most of my life, and my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone.
He's allowed.
Yeah. Until all the facts are presented, I will refrain from issuing judgment and join my family in prayer for all of those involved in this unfortunate incident. Can I puke now?
Yeah, please do.
Now, DeWitt is the 9th sheriff in South Carolina to be charged or investigated while in office since 2010. And I believe Brandon has pointed out that South Carolina is one of the most corrupt governments out of any of them. Out of that number, 6 have pleaded guilty or been convicted, and another died while under investigation. 2 of the sheriffs have been sentenced to prison. If DeWitt were indicted as a result of this crash, he could be suspended from office until acquitted. I love the way they put that. So what, they're planning on acquitting him already?
Right.
Or until the case was otherwise disposed of.
Disposed of?
Yeah, how nice is that? They also could appoint a, quote, suitable person to hold office during that time. All right, guys, we're in like the last 10 or 15 seconds of the show.
Oh, wow.
So we made it.
Yeah.
Yay. All right, it's Monday.
Better soon.
I know. This is horrible. I hate this. I hate feeling like this.
Sound miserable.
Thank you. I feel it. All right. Well, thank you for being here today, Zori. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And listen, make sure you guys stick around because there's all kinds of great stuff on tonight. And Anti-Media Radio should be live at 11. Oh, look, my time's off again. I don't know why my server's not staying up with the sync time all of a sudden. And hopefully our bumper will play. Yeah, Daniela's got a new show. Brandon's got a new show. Anti-Media's got a new show. So there should be all kinds of fun stuff. And if the music doesn't play, I guess we'll sing. So I don't know, debating if I'm going to do a story.
Mine says 7:58, so it's not 59.
See, mine says 59.
There it is.
Yeah, all right. All right, guys. So the atomic clock must be off. Everyone have a happy Monday.
Bye-bye.
We'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. Take care.